All right, we're live. Michelle, you're the first box.
How did I get to be the first box? Okay.
You're the first one with video on. That's how. I think I was sitting in here without video to begin with.
Okay, that's what happened. So one thing, a few things here actually. Caroline, I would like to hook up with you to try and test Ailkiln in the playground on an S3 server. If you could just install, like make a project and put a package in it that has tests in it, then we're going to leave that for like a day and make sure that its files are not in the temporary folder. And then we're going to run the new version of Ailkiln on the playground and see if it correctly instantiates those files into and caches the files in the temp folder so that the tests can run properly. I don't know how to set this up for automated testing. I will say I am just delighted with the amount of stuff that I can't set up for automated testing right now. I'm excited.
Do you know if that's like, have you looked into like how it's like when it removes stuff from temp, like if it removes stuff from temp after a day or whatever? Do you know how that works?
So
I don't know how that works. I just don't know.
I'm planning to wait until it's gone. Like Jonathan says, like the minimum is 2 hours, but he didn't describe what a maximum was. Or like,
I don't know what it is even doing though. And I'm saying I don't know if it will be gone with a day. Like if you're trying to test it, I think we need to know how it gets removed in the first place.
Dang it.
So,
I mean, we could just merge it and assume that, I mean, the seeing if it's gone in a day is one. If it's gone, then we know we can test it. Like as soon as it, you know what, we can just remove those files from the temp folder ourselves.
You can manually do that. That works too.
And then we'll just see if they get cached again. Caroline, we don't have to wait for a day. Bryce, this is brilliant. I'm so excited now. It's at least a little less.
we're going to use it on my own Caroline DocAssembly server, not the court. Yeah.
If it's an S3 server, or anyone else who has an S3 server, it doesn't have to be.
No, it has S3 bucket. It has S3 bucket. So can I just make you a user and then you can do whatever you want to do on it?
I need to be able to SSH in.
I think you can do that. I don't know.
Or for you to SSH in.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, I can do it through Amazon, right? But I've been doing the SSH in because I can SSH in on the court one using PuTTY. I don't know what you'd use on Mac. Because I can't go into the Amazon thing, but you can have all the permissions you want on my Amazon account.
Sounds like a conversation for off the recording.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a good conversation to have later.
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna add, just so y'all are aware, I think it should be Amazon gives you like a little key file that Caroline, you should be able to download and like give that to Michelle. Not anywhere public, probably. And then Michelle, you should just be able to use that with SSH on like in a terminal on your Mac.
Oh, are you talking like a PPK thing? Or are you talking about something else? You say an E file. What? I don't know what
a key file. Key file. But I think
it wouldn't be a PPK for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's something similar. I don't remember the exact ending, but it's something that you can, Michelle, use. I can. Mostly, I know the general things of how to do this. I'll send you guys like what I do and what the setup is, and y'all can.
Or you can just link us a tutorial. Like,
I also think
there's where the tutorials are.
I think you can add I think you also can add a user, and then Michelle, you can download your own security file.
Yeah, that's right. So I just make her be an IA.
That way you don't have to worry about transferring it. You just make her a user with the right permissions, then she can access.
Do what you need to do.
Then I can figure it out.
Probably the better way. I just don't know how to do it. I
don't actually think it edits the key files that are allowed after you've created the container. It's only at the container startup.
Well then,
but
okay. So that's
Michelle, do you already have an SSH key, or do you? I mean, you must, right? If you're SSHing to any light cell containers, generally they're set up as the default where you can't log in with the password. You need a key file.
I SSH to GitHub. I haven't done anything with Lightsail, so
Okay.
I don't have any Amazon account or anything. So I mean, I know what SSH is. And
That's
I've
all you
set
need
up
to know.
SSH before, so I
Yeah.
think I can, if
You'll-
that's what I need to do, I think
You'll
I
either
can
need to make your own key file and
refresh
have
my
Caroline
memory.
add it to authorized keys, or
Mhm.
download the Lightsail default keys on Caroline's Lightsail account.
Okay, so
Probably it's better for you to make your own key file and add it. Either way, it requires some steps. So that's the safer.
okay. Well, so yeah, I don't know all those steps. I'm not clear on what all those steps need to be, but hopefully I'll be able to call on y'all. And then when that is, and I can SSH in, I can test the change and then make that PR if that is appropriate, which is super exciting because
Yay.
I'd rather know it works than just, I mean, I can make the pull request now and then confirm that it works later. That's also an option. And then you'll be able to upload files. And I mean, you should be able to upload files now, Quentin, with the newest version of ALKiln in the playground.
Great. And do I just need to upgrade that on the dev server to get that latest code?
Yeah. Yes, just need to update that package from main. It's on main. It's just the S3 stuff that's still uncertain. Okay, next. Oh, unless other comments, but I have next things. Actually have like too many next things. One is that I would love to figure out a time to, whether it's now or another time, to discuss the income class, because
Yeah.
I think I've clarified to myself a few of the articulations why I think this needs to be a change to the class and not just something that developers do on their own. And maybe we will still disagree on that. But I think it would be good to have at least Caroline, maybe Caroline and Chris there to be able to go over kind of the use case, and for Quinn, you to propose like alternatives. Because if you propose alternatives to me, I don't know what to say. Like maybe
Yeah.
that's good.
You need the sort of concrete, practical examples of what we're seeing and what your solution is. Your solution is.
I want to understand what solutions would work for
Right.
you, right? I only had the questions that I asked you, but I don't
Yeah.
know what your answers to Quentin's questions would be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which
so
Chris?
can
Vermont, Chris.
Chris from Vermont, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Theoretical,
that's what I
yeah.
assumed too. Because then my
Okay.
follow-up would be, well, we could make that the end of a Monday meeting.
it's gonna be. It might.
You're
be
trying to say you would like
super
it to be sooner,
complicated.
right?
Well, no,
Yeah.
an end of a month. Well, because we don't have Monday next week. Is
That's correct.
Oh,
But we will have a
okay.
Monday after that, in
Yeah.
which all those people would be in one spot. That's why I was suggesting the Monday meeting.
I won't be there,
Yeah.
but
Well,
So
I
two
mean,
weeks
you're
from now,
there.
you want?
Honestly, you designed this class.
but I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, I can also add quite a bit. And then if we're missing something, I'm not sure, Chris, I think I can give you what Chris can give you. And so, and the only reason we want to do it sooner rather than later is because we're kind of, we can't really go any further in our little workshop without figuring how we're
It's
gonna.
a blocker, an actual blocker on a
It
Friday.
is.
Look
Yeah.
at this.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
An
Wow.
actual blocker. There's one other question there, which is that maybe I can pair with Bryce or something on. I'm trying to get the selected. I'm trying to be able to select. We're trying to be able to select types of income like tips, commissions, bonuses, blah blah blah. And then loop through and ask about not tips, commissions. I don't remember what it was, vehicles, something or other, types of incomes, and then ask about each of them individually, but I cannot assign a source to an income. So yes, been having trouble with that. I can show you the video. It's very painful. I'm doing something terribly wrong.
I'm not quite
Um,
following what you're saying, but it
Okay,
sounds like it's
I-
more of a technical thing, and it's like something we should be
It's
able
a
to do, or
technical
is it?
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a
so let's-
technical thing and everything technical is possible. So I'm just doing something wrong. But would one of you be, I can try and outline what we did, or I'd rather real time, but is either of you available for something like that?
I mean, not until Wednesday,
Like a
but
little pressed because I only have 3 days next week.
Yeah,
Or
Quinn is
that
going to
one
be a
week.
world traveler again.
No,
Singapore,
whoa.
what's next?
Well, going to Singapore for the computational law conference.
Are you taking Miles?
Yep, Miles is.
And we can get to that. I just remind people we're recorded right now. We can do casual
Right.
Friday
Okay.
stuff if
Right.
And the cat.
I don't care if people are fine having not the
Oh, I would love
conversation.
that.
Naming people, yeah, sorry, my fault.
If I have a sec, I will try to make an example, make like the smallest reproducible example type of thing.
Michelle, this is different from the
No,
other.
this is different. This is separate from the other question. If we could
Oh.
answer this question, we could make some. They're both blockers to separate
Oh, I
parts
see.
of this
Yeah,
interview.
yeah. But they're
My only
Um,
thought would be just to make sure we step back on this and evaluate, is the user experience we're creating, while very specific and accommodating of lots of situations, is it like a realistic one for someone to actually go through? Because that was kind of my first thought when we
Yeah.
first started talking about this like detailed version of the income class. Like, will people actually enjoy the ability to, with precision, list every bit of their income, and do they really have to fill out the form accurately? Even if it's more
So
precise,
my
is it
understanding was
usable?
that the answer was yes. That's why I
Yeah,
brought
'cause
it up.
I think the thing, Quentin, is
I
that
think it's worth reconsidering and making
That's
sure.
right. That's why I'm
Form by
saying
form.
you should
So
talk to other
obviously
people.
we thought it was yes at one point. I'm just saying, like, let's
Yeah.
keep doing it as we add more and more complications and nuance to
it-
what you can do with it.
what,
Is it
what
appropriate?
what it is that you allow the developer to give a list of sources, which is going to be different from state to state.
This is different. Quentin is
Oh,
talking about the
sorry.
previous thing.
Oh, I thought that was this thing. I thought that was this thing.
Well,
I
I
thought
mean,
he
just
was talking
in
about
general,
it.
as we're going through this process, like,
Yeah.
make sure we're keeping the user's experience in mind first and foremost.
I think
And
this is,
not the-
Quentin, this is coming from us, the users, Chris and me, and
Not
I'm-
developers,
No, the
but like
end
the
user.
end user.
End user.
What I'm
oh,
thinking.
those end users. Yeah. well,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, essentially, the end user, the courts need information. And all of these forms, these legal, like lawyers, they're like, et cetera, right? So the end user needs a way to put in, et cetera, in a way that the form can use, right? And that's the problem we're trying to deal with.
I think looking at the actual form we were trying to build might be, because right now we're describing things very abstractly.
Yeah,
Which is kind of why I wanted to.
yeah. I was just trying to assure.
We can
I
Just
agree
make
with
sure
you.
that
more
what we're
concretely.
creating is as simple
Useful.
Yes, of
as the
course.
experience of working with the paper form and not worse for a user.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
Because open
That
boxes
is always the goal.
are great for most people's situations, right? Like, push the complexity onto the complex situations, not the
Yeah.
typical situations.
The reason that this is complicated is this whole financial thing, because you have to pull stuff out and then add in some, you have to apply mathematical equations to stuff that our end users, we're trying to save them from having to do that. And so you have to be able to get the data from them so that you can do these operations on them, and you don't know what the data is, so they have to be able to provide it. And that's where, in fact, I think this is really important that we provide this service to end users, because the financial statement's so horrible for everybody in almost every state. You know?
Yeah.
And it's different. That's the other thing. I mean, for the developers, one person's financial statement isn't going to work for another, for another state. So that's the thing. It's this concept that we need to figure out how to do. And I did do it in A to J author, but it was a pain in the ass. I guess it was A to J author and the other one, hot dogs, together. But it was really complicated.
Yeah, and we did the So security one and the other one together too. But
Yeah, and and I remembered the name of the developer who came up with a solution for that. Do you remember? It was Bob Oben. That was who it was when he did. And I don't know if this would help you guys, because as soon as I hear the word array, my brain shuts down. It's like my sister trying to do long division, array. I can't do it. I don't know what I can. And that was his solution in A to J author and hot docs. So maybe that gives you guys some thoughts about it, but maybe not.
It's a data structure, that's for sure. So that's good.
Yeah. I don't need this.
So yes, I think this desires a specific conversation, because I believe what we have been doing is trying to make it easier for the user. So if we're not seeing the same picture of what is easier for the user, then I think we need to have a conversation where we're sitting down and looking at something so we can understand what page we're all on and what we're referring to.
well,
Our goal is definitely to make it easier for the user. That is
sometimes you have to look beyond the
Yeah.
form in its square corners to see like how people really fill it out, right? Because, for example, if a form asks someone to say what their income is a year, and they have it in 10 different ways, do they actually sit down and do the math, and do they need to, or do they just put in a number and that's actually
what I'm saying is that I don't think we can discuss this abstractly. Obviously, it's what we're trying to do. You may have other ideas for how to present it in this particular circumstance, and I think that's what will make the difference, not these ideas, right? Not like these general concepts.
We'll have to come back to the extract at some point. I agree. We should. I don't really think talking about it more now is going to help. But we will, once we look at that, we're going to have to consider that and like what Massachusetts is currently doing, both in the abstract, and so like we will have to come back to it.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm not going to limit us to. Yeah. I feel like I've lost the thread here somewhere. Yeah. Like, where have I lost y'all?
Well, sounds like, I'm just trying to make a general point. You're saying, yeah, we have to have a really specific conversation. And I don't want to lose the fact that it's going to have to be informed by generalities. That's all. Yeah. That's really the whole thing.
Forest for the trees, forest for the trees.
Okay. So other than that, the last item is testing languages, which I won't go into in detail, but I would love to talk about that interface. I've made a PR for one version of an interface that puts a little burden on the developers in one way. I mean, it's always going to be some kind of interface. So the question is, what kind do we want? But this one would at least has very minimally invasive to the code and makes it possible. So if we want to implement something quickly, I'm not sure how kind of like how soon you want to be able to get that up and running for your tests, but there is a PR that I believe will let you do that now with some bother, but there's always bother. So.
Always, yes, always bother. All right, well, why don't we put a pin in that now, because I'm just watching our time.
Then I'm all done.
Yeah. So multiple conversations to come back to. Quentin.
Right. So first thing, I just wanted to check if anyone had any reason why I couldn't just do an upgrade of the dev server now. Figure it's like a pretty low usage time. We're all here on this call. I'll go ahead and do it. So,
I mean, can you
have any students or anything doing any weird stuff?
10 minutes of downtime, probably.
Can you check and see if anybody's logged in now? Can you see if anybody's logged in?
The best thing is
reliably, really.
The best thing is to look at logs and see if anyone has like access logs, and you can see who's like actually going to which particular pages.
Who's the I mean, their grant are there other grant partners besides Chris who work on the development server?
Yeah, so maybe like 10 minutes of downtime. So like I figure like by the time I let them know or they notice that it's offline.
Someone's testing pronouns.
That was me.
Okay.
I'm just trying to update the pictures that we're using to actually do our last decision. So I was realizing, yeah, I linked people to the documentation page, but doesn't match what we're actually doing.
Yes, I saw the
Okay.
link and I shared it.
Well, besides for that, it doesn't look like anyone's really using it.
I think 10 minutes is probably. And
I
it's
wouldn't do it for a production server.
yeah,
but
I was gonna say for
absolutely,
a
it's fine.
development server, the users are all folks who will come back in 5 minutes if they.
And then this is like a different discussion we have to keep having, but maybe other people who are on this call will start thinking about it. We were talking a little bit about what the e-filing user experience should be, where we should modularize, whether there should be a handoff from an interview to a dedicated e-filing endpoint. And I had a chance to talk a little bit more about that with Matt yesterday. We were talking, it was starting our conversation about planning this developer workshop, which Bryce, maybe you would want to be involved in, but also made me think, I mean, I will if I'm needed to, but I'm not sure if I'm needed necessarily. But the e-filing conversation is really, I think, important for us to think about because it could be a big pivot. We have to think about planning, like what might need to be done before October, what's something we could kind of leave for later. And to me, I think it's like a fundamental choice of like, if we're doing a handoff from one interview to something else, I don't think that something else should be DocAssemble. But we might want to start planning something at least of what that something else would be.
Yeah, are you saying something like Heroku, a Heroku app or something? I mean, is that what you're what
something like, you know, like our last web app that we built, Rate My PDF, we're using a Python system called Fast API, which seems to be a pretty good one. We could consider doing it in Java because we already have the proxy server in Java, and then you could run everything all together. But something that Matt said to me, which I think is fair, is that organizations will want to customize some aspects of this endpoint for their state.
Sure.
Which could mean we stick with DocAssemble, because DocAssemble obviously is really easy to customize. Or it could mean that we go something else. Yeah, right. So you're saying, yeah, stick with DocAssemble. Obviously, we've done it in DocAssemble. I just think the class of problems that we're like saying, oh, this is broken because it's tightly coupled with this one interview, I don't really think are reducible to that. I think they're problems with DocAssemble and how it works. Because anything we can solve by making a separate interview could be solved in the interview that it's already in. So that's where I think we have to look at it closer and figure out where we're really having problems, what can we solve? If we really think this is just kind of a difficult thing to fix where it is, I think we should evaluate doing it in a totally different system than DocAssemble.
My main thing is that I don't think we could get it good enough in 3 months. I'm fairly confident.
Well, I agree with you about that. I'm just saying, like, setting a groundwork for it. I'm not saying we have something live in 3 months.
Which is fair, but also, which is like, I guess maybe this is just a conversation that I don't like need to have a say in, but like I'm going to focus my work in the next 3 months on wrapping up what I can. And I don't think trying to pivot to a new platform, it might be good in the long term, but I just don't think it's a thing.
Yeah, no, you should, that's not something you
finish.
you don't need to be worrying about that. You need
Okay.
to, yeah, that's not, this is the like,
I would say prefer not to like us talk about it now and then be like, yeah, I mean, we agree DocAssemble is not the right way to go, but we agree to like, we're all on the same page as of July 15th. And then all of a sudden why would I spend the next few months trying to do a whole bunch of DocAssemble stuff that we know is not going to be useful? Like, that's what I'm concerned about. And I don't know.
That's why I was thinking it'd be good to like kind of do a little discovery early, not to like say we're going to build this thing now, but just thinking through like what should we focus on in polishing, for, you know?
Yeah. I
mean, basically, which I did not really realize this until like this week or last week, maybe when we first started having this. I mean, it seems like our idea of integrating DocAssemble, integrating e-filing into a DocAssemble interview is one that Illinois does not think we should do. And that's like a huge thing to just kind of be learning.
I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry, that's it. I feel like that's the thing I've been talking with Matt, and I feel like I've mentioned it a few times of like he's hesitant on it, but it's a thing that I've been trying to work towards getting him less hesitant on it and convincing them that we could do it in the interview. And I just don't think that I was really able to do that.
So this feels like a larger discussion
Yeah.
than
Also, yeah.
the next 2 minutes,
Yes.
given that there are 2 people left and I've got to jump at 1. Anything else, Quentin?
No, not that I can think of.
It's a good conversation. These were very full today. Caroline.
I'm just plugging away, learning about putting template. I'm trying to figure out how much I can put into the custom organization and then pull in, because it seems like we're changing these things all the time, and I don't want to have to change them in 8 or 9 places, just change them in one place. So I'm kind of excited about that. I think there was something else, I can't remember what it is, so it doesn't matter.
All right. Bryce.
Not a ton. I finished my yearly review. That was it.
I saw a comment came across my desk earlier this morning while I'm
That's
still
all I-
working on my review, so I can't look at yours yet.
That's all I really had time to do this week. So